I didn't just make a mistake, which is guilt. I am a mistake, which is shame. Shame is one of the enemy's best tools to keep us stuck, to keep us in a place, not acceptance. Shame is not about acceptance at all. It keeps us really in a place of just kind of giving up. It's really the essence, I think, of what Satan does when he gets us to a level 5. In so many cases, he gets us to believe an identity so strongly that we really just feel like we just want to give up and go to the forget it moment. Now, what is it about shame versus guilt that is so important? So guilt is a feedback mechanism of our spirit. Elder Bednar once said that guilt is to the spirit as pain is to the body. So guilt is just a feedback mechanism that indicates that, hey, we have a behavior that is off. We're veering off course. And it can be very motivating. It's godly sorrow, in essence, when in its purest form. And this godly sorrow can totally move us into action because it's a feeling of, hey, I accept you as you are, but we're off track and we just need to get back on track. So let's make a course correction. Guilt completely focuses on behavior. Now, what does shame focus on? Shrinking from what? Why do we shrink in shame? We're afraid of action. Why are we afraid of action? Why do we become afraid of acting? Why does it just feel pointless to even try? Shame is completely focused on identity. And if I'm having an identity crisis and I'm trying over and over and over again to do something different, but I see myself as in some way broken or flawed or short in some way, shape, or form, I'm going to eventually go, what is the point here? I just don't have the energy to even try because it's just who I am. I might as well just give up. So shame, while we attempt to use it to try to motivate ourselves, is actually the number one demotivating force on the planet. Because behind the shame is an identity crisis, a believed or an accepted identity that I am broken in some way. So if I am caught in an identity crisis, what do I see when I look at my behaviors, my actions? What do they indicate? What is inherent, where what I believe is inherent within me, my character flaws? Oh, this just means that I'm stupid, that I'm an idiot, that I'm incapable, that in some way the shame involves an I am. It always comes down to an I am. And our actions become proof of the I am. And it's one of the reasons why the enemy loves to use the very pernicious lie of, hey, if you're a son of God, prove it. Because inherent in that is that our actions will now identify us. Yes, if we're stuck in the shame cycle, we believe that our actions prove our identity. So then I have to change my actions to prove a different identity. So the reality of the shame cycle is that actions will never be enough to prove who we are, even though we think that that's what's required. So the real truth here is that when we are aligned with who we really are, our actions will naturally flow out from that. So when we can break out of the shame cycle and come into the truth, we don't even have to have perfect actions. They just need to be authentic actions. And this is why authenticity and vulnerability are the antidote to shame. So the step that you take out of shame may feel scary as all heck. But as you take the step, you suddenly feel this courage, you feel the fearlessness, and suddenly you're like, I'm okay that I'm not okay. I'm okay that I'm not perfect right now, that I have this flaw, I have this weakness. I am okay that I'm not my fully developed self yet. I still have more work to do. So when I'm vulnerable, I am going to connect with people. I'm going to connect with God. I'm going to connect with myself. I'm not going to hide anymore. I'm coming out of the darkness. Vulnerability is like turning on a flood lamp to shame. We're hiding in the darkness. We're hiding from who we think we are, and we don't want people to necessarily see it. And when we become vulnerable, we turn on that light, and suddenly shame is just blasted away. Every time. When I find guys are struggling over and over and over with some lost battle of some sort, inevitably, it's almost always a result of being stuck in shame. They try to hide it. They try to fix it while they're hiding it. They just don't want anybody to know about it. They're hiding in some way, and they're isolating more and more and more from others, from God, and even from themselves. But when we're vulnerable, we're now going outward. We're reconnecting. We're going, hey, yes, I'm naked, and I'm not ashamed of it anymore. Yeah, the implication is that I'm not that, and that essentially I have this obligation to become that. It's kind of how I hear it. I hear this very low energy, obligatory, that's what everybody else thinks I should be. So it's not being authentic to myself. It's attempting to try to please others in a lot of cases because someone else says I should do that. So I like to say, hey, don't walk around shouldn't all over yourself. It's not very healthy. And we can find an easy solution to when we find ourselves stuck in the shoulds. Just change one simple word, or really one syllable of the word, from should to could. Just go, I could do that. I could be more kind. I could be more willing. I could be more trusting. I love that. Should is what's missing. I have all these things missing, and I'm the victim of something, and it's outside of me, versus could is the energy of opportunity, the energy really of abundance. Wow, there's all these different options, and I don't necessarily have to do one or the other, but I could. And I have all these possibilities. So I want you to think about some of the I ams in your life that you have really embraced in your recent past. Some of the things that as you make mistakes or you lose a battle, you have a tendency to say to yourself, maybe not out loud, maybe not even consciously, but notice the emotions that come up of shame when you lose a battle, and see if you can even remember some of those emotions. And just ask yourself the question, what is it that I believe in those moments that causes me to then beat myself up, to feel so badly, to feel so lost, such a loss of hope? Yeah, it's not necessarily an I am, but it is an I am. I suck because, basically I am not enough in some way. Yeah, it's a very common one. I'm an idiot. I'm stupid. I'm just broken. I'm, fundamentally flawed in some way. And I just need my head rewired, because there's just no way out of this. It's the kind of I ams that when we buy into those, suddenly the energy of breaking free just goes way down. Because we need a huge energy of intention to be able to break free of the old I ams, to really accept a new identity. But remember that it's not the actions that determine who I am. It's when I align with who I am, when I connect, when I can be authentic about where I am in a given moment, remembering that it's not who I am, of failure being feedback versus failure being an indication that I am a failure. I've failed, but I'm not a failure. That's the difference between guilt and shame. One, the behavior, I failed. The other, the identity, I am a failure, and I might as well just give up. I hope that this has given you maybe some broader perspective about shame and how prevalent it is. It's everywhere, guys. It started with Adam and Eve, and it's alive and well with all of us. So notice the I ams, notice this energy of should, notice the obligation, the need to fit someone else's mold, and our concern about what others think of us over what God thinks of us. And really be able to just shift into a place of, hey, I can be vulnerable, I can be open, I can accept and embrace, and my actions are not what prove that I'm a son of God. It's who I am when I align with who I am that enables me to naturally do the right things that flow out of my being a son of God.